The Natural Home Network. The Natural Home Network. The Natural Home Network.
Welcome to the Natural Home Network. I am your host, Adrienne Carwheel, and this is Healing Habits at Home. Our guest tonight is Charleeta Latham. Welcome.
Hi.
There are so many things that I just want to get right into, but I think the theme of today, I asked a question when people were getting ready to watch this episode, and it's, have you ever wanted practical ways to manage anxiety, stress, and overwhelm? What do you do when you feel stuck? So we are going to answer that question tonight with Charleeta. She has extensive experience as a wellness coach, as an NLP practitioner, as a hypnotherapy coach, and so many different titles. So before we get started, Charleeta, thank you so much for agreeing to come and opening up this conversation about specifically how Black women can heal behind closed doors. So just tell us a little bit about the titles. You know, you hear PhD, you know what that is. You hear MD, you know what that is. But NLP and ABC and QRP and all WKRP in Cincinnati, all those things. Please explain to us what those things mean for people in the audience that might not be familiar with body, mind, spirit, holistic coaching and modalities, and also kind of how you got there.
Okay. Well, first, I'm a master neurolinguistic practitioner. That's neuro-linguistic. That's what NLP stands for. Mm-hmm. I'm also an EFT practitioner, which is emotional freedom techniques, And I'm also a clinical hypnotherapist. So we've all heard of hypnotherapy. But NLP and EFT, most people are like, excuse me?
I was.
But NLP is just a fancy way of basically saying the way that our brain, the dialogue that happens in our mind is what NLP is.
The dialogue that happens in our mind.
Mm-hmm.
Explain that a little more.
Like, I saw a video the other day on social media. This young lady was talking about how some people have a voice in their head, so to speak, and some people don't. But like when you're thinking, it's essentially that. Like, it's where your beliefs are stored and kind of how they come to be. It's really just the language of your mind. It's the user's manual, basically. Okay. So if you find that you have the same issues, more than likely it goes back to your brain, your user's manual. You're not using the user's manual properly. But most people aren't even aware that NLP is a thing, so they don't even know that they have the user's manual already, which is your brain.
Okay. So how does a practitioner support somebody? It's almost like you are helping someone to identify the fact that the voice is there and then maybe reprogramming it. Mm-hmm. 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 Explain that a little more.
Because whether we know it or not, we've all been programmed, and we're constantly being reprogrammed as we live life. And a lot of us go through life unaware of that. So then you run into practitioners like me who kind of help you pinpoint those programs that are running on autopilot in your mind, usually through the subconscious. We don't deal a lot with the subconscious. We talk about the conscious mind and my thinking and my thoughts and my ideas and my beliefs and things of that nature, but they're all rooted in your subconscious. So that's really the key to transformational shifts. It's in your subconscious, and you get to your subconscious through NLP.
Okay. So how does hypnotherapy play a role in that as well?
Hypnotherapy.
That too.
Hypnotherapy is also another avenue that you can get to your subconscious. It bypasses the conscious mind, because our conscious mind will tell us that doesn't make any sense. But the way people have this knowing, almost like an intuitive thing, that's your subconscious speaking to you, essentially. So with hypnosis, we just kind of bypass the critic, the self-saboteur, and we get right to the root.
So how did you get into this work?
Well, my mother is a retired educator / counselor, and she's an old school mom. She was one of those don't ask me no questions, just do what I say type people. Mm-hmm. So I learned early in life to find my own answer. So I've always been a curious type person. I've always enjoyed reading. And I think it may have just been like a Facebook ad or something. I scrolled past one day and I was like, NLP, what is that?
Yeah.
When I started digging, and next thing I know, I was like, why have I not heard of this? Like, I feel like this is something that we should know. EFT is something we should know. Like, these are practical tools that should be more mainstream, and they're not. So that's how I got into it. I was really just curious, and I had no intention of starting a business. Honestly, I just wanted to know what it was.
Yeah. I love that you stumbled across it. And I think that sometimes we as Black women are the last to know, particularly with things that will support us, heal our bodies, and help us to be more conscious and aware of what's going on internally. Another modality or another approach that you have is the EFT. Can you explain a little bit of that?
Yes. This is actually my favorite one because it's really easy. And it doesn't require any special equipment or anything like that. It's really easy to do. You can do it anywhere, really. But it stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, but it's also called tapping. Okay. Simple terms, because you literally tap on certain meridian points on your face and your upper body.
Whoa. What's a meridian? Slow it down. I don't want to assume that anybody knows anything. So we got the NLP. We got hypnosis. It's not like the person on the stage that has like the ventriloquist dummy or anything like that. It is a clinical process. You said bypassing the conscious, tapping into the subconscious. So passing all of the doubting, hating part of our chatter, right? And then going to the subconscious. Now, EFT, you said a meridian, and what's a meridian?
A meridian is essentially an energy point. It's a fancy way of saying an energy point. Like if you've heard of acupuncture, you know that they use in certain places on your body. Those certain places that they put them on your body are called meridian points. Okay. And EFT is based off some of those meridian points or energy centers. Like, for instance, one's at the top of your head.
Here?
Yeah, right there at the top of your head.
Am I tapping right now?
You are tapping, and just like that, it doesn't have to be really hard. It doesn't have to be, anything. That's just it. It's just that simple. Just tap.
What does this do other than like stimulate my scalp and help my edges grow in? Like, what does it do?
It restores the energy flow through your body. That's why you tap on those certain points, because you may be clogged in a certain point. And so it's important to go through a round, and a round is when you just go through all the points.
Would you mind if we did it together?
Sure.
All right. So finish explaining, like, if you were to do, like, so you said the top of the head, and then the other meridians, like if someone were experiencing stress or anxiety, let's say, for example, my baby's getting ready to graduate 8th grade, and it was in person, and now it's a drive-by, like, car parade. And I'm like, the anxiousness of her missing out on that milestone in her life, and as her mom wanting to make it special. So that's kind of at the front of my mind, and how the past year through, pandemic and lockdown and just life be lifing. And so how to address that anxiety. How would you use tapping for an example like that? And I guess you could use it for anything.
Yeah, you can. You can use it for anything, but most people use it for stress and anxiety because it's one of those things. in order to tap, you have to feel the feeling. So during the first round, you're just basically tapping on whatever the issues. So if your issue, like you said, was stress, I would just, even though I'm feeling a way about not being able to have this.
So hold on. You are here?
Yes, your karate chop point. There we go, right here.
And I'm using this hand to tap.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. And different people do it with different ways. Like some people might tap like this. Some people use the side of their hand. There's no real wrong way. It's more important. Most important thing is where you're tapping.
Okay.
So some people tap with 2 fingers. Some people do like this. Some people do like this.
And what are you saying? Are you saying the opposite of what you feel when you tap that point?
Not yet. During the first round, you just tap on what you're actually feeling.
Okay.
So if you're feeling, there's no wrong thing to say. So if you're like, these kids getting on my nerves, I don't want to do this today, I'm not going to do this today. There is no wrong thing to say.
Okay.
So you just, whatever it is, you really tap into that feeling. That's probably where that phrase came from, tap into the feeling during the first round. So you make sure it comes up, let it come up. Some people, when they tap, they may cry. They have a really strong emotional response to it, and that's a good thing.
Okay.
Good thing. So during the first round, you just tap on what you're really feeling. Okay. And as long as it takes you for that feeling to come up and really, really, really come up, you can do 2 rounds. If you get to the first round and you still don't really feel the feeling, you're not really in your feelings about the feeling, then do another round and tap through those points again about how you're really feeling. And then once that feeling really comes up, that's when you switch it. You tap through again with the feeling you want to feel. Okay. I know this is okay.
Okay. It seems like it would be very calming.
It is.
It almost makes you disassociate from the negativity associated with the emotion.
Mm-hmm. That's
so it's emotional freedom technique. So you're freeing your body and your mind from those negative emotions. Oh, wow. That's amazing. So how did you said you were a curious person. You said you're the daughter of an educator. You are daughter of a school counselor. And you have always just wanted to try to figure out that answer for yourself. How do you use tapping in your everyday life? How did you get into it for yourself? Like identifying the fact that self-care and just managing your emotions needed to be something that you wanted to attend to.
I've always been a very highly sensitive person. And sometimes that's, honestly, it's just draining. Always feeling something. And sometimes it's just like, oh, I just want to be sometimes, Yeah. And so when I found EFT, originally when I found it, I just thought, because it was, when I got my certification, I was going to get certified in NLP. EFT was a bonus. I wasn't really focused on it. I was just like, okay, well, that's cute, whatever. But but it has since become one of the things that I lean on the most. I'll tell a personal story. Just a few days ago, my mother has been in the hospital, and me and my mother are like this. And so at that moment, it was like 3:00 in the morning. The doctors had come in and asked me a whole bunch of questions to which I did not know the answers. So I was already stressed because of just the situation. And then they come in and bring all these other things to my attention that I had to deal with. So I was just really overwhelmed. I was stressed. I was scared. I was all of these things. But I still had to stay in the moment because I had responsibilities. I had things to do in that moment. So I couldn't break down in that moment like I really wanted to. So I took a minute and went to the bathroom just for a quick second and did a round of tapping. Like I said before, I didn't go in there, even though I'm feeling so-and-so, such and such.
Right.
I didn't do that. I went there like, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm feeling away. I need help. Like I went through what I was really feeling. And just like that, I came out of that bathroom a new woman.
Huh. What's the alternative to that? What would people typically do? Like, I feel like when you're in a stressful situation, and I, my heart goes out to you with your mom, and I hope that she has a quick recovery.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But what do you do in those situations when your back is up against the wall and you don't know what to do? It's all this highly technical language. You're responsible for your parents' care. We're getting to the age that, sometimes things happen with our loved ones. I would just slide on the wall and just, take me now. Like, I honestly wouldn't know what to do. So it is much appreciated that in those moments that you can use these tools as a way of escape.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. And in those moments, and that's why I am so passionate about sharing this with so many people, especially people that look like us, women that look like us, because these tools are not taught us. I had never heard of this before I got certified. And I was so upset. Like, even other practitioners that I've come across, I can count on one hand. I really only need one finger to count how many other practitioners I have come across that look like me.
Really?
You know, I'm usually the only little brown girl in the room, you know. And I'm working to change that. That is one of my goals. I've taken that on as my mission, to change that. I won't be the only brown little girl in the room. If I have to certify a gang of people myself, I will do that.
Yeah, that is absolutely amazing. And again, like we sometimes can be hesitant when it's something new, but it sounds like these techniques have been around for quite some time.
They have.
So what do you do when someone is hesitant, particularly, you know, if this episode is entitled When with Faith, the Brain and the Mind Collide? When you have, I know that if I have a difficult situation, I'm going to pray to the Lord and I'm going to ask for help and ask for assistance and discernment and peace in that particular situation. But I am wise enough to know that our God is bigger than just words. Our God is bigger and uses everything with and for a purpose. And so what do you say to someone maybe who is a person of faith who might be hesitant to tap into, all puns intended, to tap into either hypnotherapy or EFT or even NLP?
That's part of the reason, actually the majority of the reason why I named my business the Mustard Seed Method. That was a nod to my faith. I grew up Christian. I still pray. You know, I believe in scripture. I still pray. I do all those things plus some things. I think sometimes some of us that grow up in the church, we grow up in the church with a limited view of what God is, you know. But as I've grown older and I've just learned and experienced more, I've realized that God is expansive. God is infinite. God is limitless, you know. And that's not to say that any and everything is for everybody, because it's not.
Right.
But it's just to highlight the fact that, you know, like in that moment that I was telling you about earlier, I tapped and I prayed. I did both, you know. But in that moment, because I'm also a physical touch type person.
Me too.
That's why tapping works for me, because
I don't know the rest. You have to teach me the rest. Here. You'll teach me the rest.
I'll teach you the rest in just a second. I'll be happy to do that. But tapping for me, it's grounding. It's like you're here in your body. Like I can feel that, you know, it's just a reminder that you're here, and it grounds you back into the reality of things. Because sometimes our emotions can take us away. They will carry us away if we let them. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the mind and the mindset that's necessary to kind of overcome those emotions that pop up. And season 1 of Healing Habits at Home is Affirm. And I am a strong believer. I have a very solid morning routine where it's based on the Miracle Morning. And so I do a very specific script or regimen that is very comforting to me, and it helps me through my day. And one of them is affirmations, and being able to speak life over myself and to speak life over the situations that I face, no matter how trivial. You know, I will have a good day today. You know, I will accomplish the goals that I've set for myself today. I will be at peace. I will not be overwhelmed. I will not be consumed by, you know, what I'm going to face in this day. And so how does affirming yourself or speaking over yourself impact your mindset when addressing anxiety, stress, or overwhelm?
Tune in next time for our episode of Healing Habits at Home with Adrienne Carwheel, Wednesdays at 5:30 Eastern Time, right here on KP Media TV. That's it for this week. Join us again next Wednesday for Healing Habits at Home with Adrienne Carwill.